Shalom. First and foremost, I want to start by giving all praise, honor, and glory unto the Heavenly Father, the Most High, our Creator and our power, who the world ignorantly calls God. His name is Yahweh, and the name of His only begotten Son, our Lord, our Savior, and our Deliverer. The Messiah, who the world ignorantly calls JC. His name is Yahweh Shai, called Halamla, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Machad. I want to give double honors unto the elder apostles and the elder bishops of Great Millstone. Salutations, peace, blessings, and safety be unto the hopeful elect. And Salaki, it's a little windy, so we'll alter the sound. But this lesson, as you can see, is entitled. This is a reminder first and foremost, but it's a reminder to count blessings and not problems. And this is a note to self first and foremost, man. Just like every lesson is, a note to self, because it's easy to give advice, but it's also easy to forget to take your own advice, right? And that's not saying, you're being hypocritical, but at the same time, it's a reminder. The same advice or counsel or motivation, exhortation you may give another brother, you got to remember to give yourself that same motivation. Light that fire under yourself as well. Okay, remind yourself to, as they say, look at the cup as half full, not half empty. It's very easy to consider and think upon the things, dwell on the things that you don't have, completely overlook the things that you do have. It's easy to do that, man, and we all guilty of it. I'm gonna speak for myself. I'm guilty of it, which is why reminders like this are important. We have to remember to count the blessings that the Lord is providing for us, and not the problems, because even the problems or the things that we go through, right? The adversity, the afflictions that we catch, those is blessings in that as well. As I say, man, everything happens for us, not to us. Because Jake can get in the habit of always asking, why me? Why me? Why is this happening to me? And not asking, well, why is this happening to me? It's not necessarily that they're asking that question, but it's the way that they're asking it. It's the lack of understanding behind the question. It's okay to ask, why is this happening to me? But it's ask it in the question of ask it in a way of trying to understand what the Lord is teaching you, because there's a lesson in everything. Not to get off topic, but just harping on the point, man. Counting the blessings. You hear that a lot, but most of the people that say it, they don't really believe that. They don't really understand that. They only say that when it comes to prosperity. They only say that when it comes to, when they up. Right? It's very rare that people count their blessings when they're low, man. People get offended, but like I said, not to get off topic. But I got two quotes, right, that's relevant to the lesson. The first quote is by Seneca. Right? And that quote, it says, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." And when you look at it like that, man, it gives you much more appreciation for whatever condition you may be in, and it gives room for gratitude. It gives room for contentment. Okay, not contentment in the form of laziness or complacency, but contentment in the form of, like I said, gratitude, in the form of acceptance. Okay, I'm gonna read it again. It says, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." Because it's not the lack of items or possessions or riches or substance, but it's the desire for more that makes you lacking. Yahweh Shah said, Yeah, this is the book of Luke, chapter 12 and verse 15. And it says, this is Yahweh again, Yahweh Shai. And he said unto them, take heed and beware of covetousness. For a man's life consisteth not in the abundance of the things which he possesseth. So it's not a great substance, a great amount of things that you own, possessions, material things, tangible things that makes you more valuable or more special. But it's the spirit that's in you. It's the sincere, pure spirit that's in you. All right. If you have a Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai fearing spirit, that's what makes you valuable. Because that's rare in this world, man. When you look around, you notice most people don't fear the Lord. And you don't have to hear them say it. They don't have to verbalize that. You see how they act, how they live. These people, the way that they live, you can tell they don't fear the Lord. So that makes them of no value. But those of us who the Lord has blessed with the fear of Him, right, that healthy fear, that makes us more valuable than the next man. Not because we said so, but because that is value. Because the fear of the Lord is life. The fear of the Lord prolongs your life. Without fear, you can have no knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. That's the beginning of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. To fear the Lord, that desire of discipline. The only reason you're going to desire discipline is because you fear the result of not having discipline. What things may happen to you or befall you if you don't consider your ways? That makes you valuable. Why you think when it says in Isaiah 33 and 6 that wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of our times? Why you think that man who's going to have that knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, which is the true value, the true riches, is going to be the true high value man in that day? That those 7 women are going to cleave to. What's making those women cleave unto those men? Those men of the Lord fear the Lord. Those men of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai fear Him. They walk in His ways. So they're going to have protection, divine protection, for doing so. I'm all good. I appreciate you. But yeah, that's true value, man. Right? To have a healthy fear of the Lord is the most valuable thing you can have in this world. Okay, that's a blessing in itself, because most people don't have that. So they're spiritually poor. A healthy fear of the Lord is true spiritual riches, coupled with the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. That is true riches, right? But like the Lord said, man, beware of covetousness. The covetousness comes through being attached to the flesh, being stuck in the flesh, right? The scriptures tell us in 2 Ezra 14 to let go from us mortal thoughts. That can be anywhere from pleasures, lusts, and desires to fears, doubts, thoughts of lacking. It can go either way. Those are all mortal thoughts pertaining to the flesh. All right. So I'm gonna get another quote. Okay, this one is there's no name attached to it. It's just something that I came across. I believe one of the elders posted it. I believe it was the elder Shaquat out there in Mississippi that I got this from. But it says, the more you appreciate, the less you chase. And we can't just breeze over this. I'm gonna read sentence by sentence because it's heavy, man. It says, the more you appreciate, the less you chase. So when Yahweh Shai said, beware of covetousness, first of all, what is covetousness? Covetousness is just wanting things, having a desire to have things that don't belong to you, that actually belong to others. But also, covetousness can just be being insatiable, not being satisfied with what you have, always wanting more. That's covetousness. But particularly, it's wanting something that's not yours, something that belongs to somebody else. Which that can come in the form of, especially in today's age, looking at social media, People get lost in that shit, man. Social media is a motherfucker. People get lost in that shit and they see this fake lifestyle that people are portraying, which a lot of these people, they're not even living like they portraying themselves to live. But others who are simple and who are very carnal and don't see past the pictures and the videos and the shorts and all that, they don't see past that. They see that and only that. But people get lost in that because they see that and they get jealous. They get envious. Damn, man. This person is traveling to Saint Tropez. I want to go to Saint Tropez. This person is in the Bahamas. I want to go to the Bahamas. This person over all the way in Greece, man, taking pictures with some good looking food. You know, you can see the beach. The water look nice and crystal clear. It's nice and blue. I want to see that. I want to do that. Damn, this person taking flights. Damn, they at this restaurant. They wearing these type of clothes. They driving this type of car. I want to do that. What are they doing that I'm not doing? How can I get that? It's easy to do that. It's easy. But you overlook what you have and what you already possess. And you become ungrateful. This world is a very ungrateful world, man. It's a very self-centered world. People are full of themselves. As the scriptures says, it will be in the last days. Men will be lovers of themselves, heady, high-minded. This is a lofty world, man. And everybody only care about themselves. And that's contagious. That conceitedness is contagious. You know? Because you see other people being full of themselves and they getting attention, they getting likes and shares, and they getting, you know, traffic on the internet. Damn, I want to get traffic. I want people to like my stuff. I want that dopamine hit. Let me try what they doing. You get lost, man. This world, you have to be grounded. You have to be grounded in this world because you can easily get tossed away, get drawn away. All right, but let me get back to it. Right, it says the more you appreciate, the less you chase. And that's what it means to be comfortable within yourself. You ain't worried about what the next person is doing. You're not trying to compare your life and yourself and your motion with the next person. You know what you about. You know what you're capable of. You in your own lane. You doing what the Lord set you up to do, and you satisfied with that. If the Lord puts you in position to give you more, or if the Lord puts you in a position or give you an opportunity that allows you to get more, to have more, to see more, to do more, so be it. Hey, call on Yahweh Shem Shah. But if not, understand, this is where the Lord wants you. The more you appreciate, the less you chase. And it's gonna be just that, a chase. And it's gonna be a never ending one because you're never gonna catch what you're chasing. Even if you so-called catch what you're chasing, it's always gonna be something else. Say you get to chasing something, you get to going after something, and you obtain it. You appreciate that, and you pay attention to that for a short period of time, and then you looking around, what's next? That's how I go. It says gratitude keeps you grounded while you grow. Gratitude keeps you grounded. Gratitude, being grateful, is an anchor. Shalom, shalom, Yahweh Shem Shabbat. Being grateful, it keeps you anchored, man, because the presence of gratitude is the absence of covetousness, envy. Okay, that what we need a desire to have. Where gratitude is present, covetousness is absent. Alright? It says count blessings, not problems. Right? Because again, man, it's easy to overlook what you have, what you're blessed with, and look at things that you don't have. We have to understand that whatever we don't have, it's a reason we don't have it. If we was to obtain some of the things, or all of the things that we desire, it can destroy us. The Lord, a lot of times, we don't recognize it. Maybe sometimes we don't recognize it at all. Sometimes we don't recognize it right away. But the Lord keeps us from ourselves a lot. The Lord keeps us from ourselves a lot, man. So let me read the whole thing again. It says, the more you appreciate, the less you chase. Gratitude keeps you grounded while you grow. Gratitude keeps you grounded while you grow. Count blessings, not problems. That's heavy, man. So let me go. Let me get the Philippians. It's a little windy, so I might have to give me a mic. So Philippians chapter 4 and verse 10. I'm gonna read verse 10 down to verse 13. This is in the GNT. It says, in my life in union with the Lord, it is a great joy to me that after so long a time, you once more had the chance of showing that you are for me. Excuse me, that you care for me. I don't mean that you had stopped caring for me. You just had no chance to show it, right? Just getting this. I started at verse 10 for context. It says, and I am not saying this because I feel neglected, for I have learned to be satisfied with what I have. With what I have, right? Not always seeking or thinking about dwelling on what I don't got. Which that's a part of being a human, man. We all have desires. We all have things that we want, things that we want to experience, things that we want to see, somebody we want to be. But it's all according to the flesh. But just as easy as it is to get caught up in that, it's easy to overlook that, man. It's easy to overcome that. It's not as easy, but it's still easy. It's something that's possible, and we got to do it, right? But it says, and I'm not saying this because I feel neglected, for I have learned to be satisfied with what I have. I know what it is to be in need and what it is to have more than enough, right? As it says in the KJV, to be abased and to abound. So gratitude comes either way, man. But in this world, people only show gratitude, which is really fake. It's false gratitude, right? But people only show gratitude when they doing well, when they're doing good, when they're prospering financially, career wise, when they're healthy. But when you have the mindset of no matter what happens, no matter what condition I'm in, it can always be worse, and it can. It can always be worse. Matter of fact, somebody may be actually going through something worse. As bad as your situation may be, there's somebody that's going through something worse than you're going through. So even though you may be going through something terrible, heavy, be grateful that you're not going through it this person is going through or that person is going through. Right? It says, I know what it is to be in need and what it is to have more than enough. I have learned this secret so that anywhere, at any time, I am content, whether I am full or hungry, whether I have too much or too little. So true gratitude is in prosperity and in lack. It's always something to be grateful for. Always. It's always something to be grateful for. Yeah, you may not have a new car, as far as year wise. You may not have no 2020 or 2024, 2025. But if you got a car, that's a blessing to have a car. Me personally, I know what the fuck it's like to have to catch the bus. I did it for years. This shit is not fun. It's very time consuming. It takes up a lot of your time. It's grievous dealing with the people on the bus. Having to deal with people, because especially the type of people that's on public transportation. Shit is terrible, man. You're dealing with spirits and conversations and smells. And, the bus might be late or the train might be late. Now you may be late for an appointment or for work or whatever. It's a lot that come with it. It's grievous. So to have a vehicle, that's a blessing. A working, operating vehicle, man, it's a blessing. Right? Continuing on. It says, I have the strength to face all conditions by the power that Yahweh Shah gives me. And that's true, man. We got the power to face any condition. Because you may think it's all sweet, all fun and games to have an abundance of money, an abundance of substance, but that shit can draw you away. That's why who was that? Job, I believe it was Job. It says, let me not have too little. I'm just roughly paraphrasing. I'm not gonna get it. Let me not have too little that I begin to steal and tempt the Lord, but not let me have too much because I don't want to be drawn away and get proud. Pretty much get proud and forget you, because there's a such thing as having so much that you get caught up in yourself and your substance and your possessions. That's why Yahweh Shah spoke that parable about that man whose field, right? His field brought forth plentifully, and then at that moment, all he could worry about is his field, his substance. What am I gonna do? I gotta build bigger now. I gotta build a place to hold all of this stuff. Now I gotta tear this down and I gotta build a bigger barn. But that man, being so caught up in his possessions, forgot the Lord, and he didn't know that his soul was going to be required the next day. He was considered a fool because all he could think about was that substance, and that's a lot. That's the case for a lot of us. If we used to have that substance, man, it would draw us away. That's why a lot of us. It's only certain brothers that's able to have that type of substance, that type of increase, because they're able to handle it. They have the spirit for it. The Lord know that. If it was any else of us, I mean, we would do things that would draw us away, that would destroy us, man. With the Wadi Yahweh Shem Shah for keeping the things away from us that could potentially destroy us. The Wadi Yahweh Shem Shah. You may think you can handle something, but if you was to get it, it will fuck you up. As well as, not the Lord not allowing us to be too low. Some brothers are not able to be so low in a position where they may still be suffering afflictions or adversity in some other form, in some other aspect, or some other on some other level in their life. But some brothers may not be able to be homeless, or may not be able to go without food, or be without a woman, or whatever it might be, because that it may be too much, it may be too heavy for that brother's spirit, man. But that brother may be able to handle other things that the next brother who is able to be homeless or without a woman, without a job, may not be able to handle, or may be able to handle. Excuse me. The Lord, our adversity is tailored to us, to our spirit, just like our increase is tailored to our spirit. Again, man, it's a blessing in everything. All right. So let me go from there to this is the book of 1 Timothy chapter 6. 1 Timothy 6, and I'm starting at verse 6, but I'm going to read down to verse 10. And I'm going to get quite a few scriptures in the GNT because they go. But, yeah, this is 1 Timothy 6 and 6 in the GNT. It says, well, religion does make us very rich if we are satisfied with what we have. And the word religion just goes into pretty much a belief system, your actions that you take towards something that you believe in, something that you have faith in. Okay. So it says, well, religion does make us rich, make us very rich if we are satisfied with what we have, which is what? Contentment. It says, what did we bring into the world? Nothing. What can we take out of the world? Nothing. So then, if we have food and clothes, that should be enough for us, right? As long as we have our daily bread, and even your daily bread doesn't always mean in abundance. You don't always have to have excess food, right? As long as you have something to sustain you and to keep you alive and to nurture you, that's enough. It might just be a piece of fish and some bread. It might be just some potatoes and some jerky. And I'm talking about, I'm more so thinking in the during the time of famine, because we can apply it now, but also especially in that time, man. Because that's why I mentioned it. It's not always about an abundance. Because in that day, you're not gonna be thinking about a fridge full of food. You're gonna be thinking about, man, I just need something to give me energy to keep me alive. I just need something. But just as satisfied as you're gonna be in that day, just having something to get on your stomach, we should be that satisfied and that content now. That's why we shouldn't be eating 3, 4 times a day. You got some bodybuilders, they eat 6, 7 times a day trying to build up that weight, man. That's gluttony. A lot of food goes to waste. Not to get off topic, but just making a point. Being satisfied with what we have. We ain't take nothing. We ain't bring nothing into this world, and we can't take nothing out of this world. So there's no point in cleaving and being attached to anything in this world, man. Just accept your necessities. It says, but those who want to get rich fall into temptation and are caught in the trap of of many foolish and harmful desires, which pull them down to ruin and destruction. Right? It pulls you out of the truth. It separates you from the Heavenly Father. Because your care, your energy, your time goes towards those things. That's why it says, labor not to be rich. Because that's where your energy begins to go. It becomes an idol. It becomes something that you pretty much worship. When you put so much energy and time and effort towards something, it becomes a devotion unto you. So when you putting all your energy into getting rich, because really, believe it or not, which is not hard to believe because you can see it, you see it every day. You have some people who all they care about, all their life consists of is getting the bag, trying to up that net worth by any means. That's all they care about. That's all they do all day, every day, trying to up their net worth. So that becomes their God. That becomes something that they devote themselves to, which is why we're not supposed to be in that mindset. That parable that I mentioned, about what Yahushua spoke about, that man whose field brought forth plentiful, and that's all he could think about. In the end, his soul was required. The latter part of it said, what? Such are all they that are not rich toward the Most High. So we have to be rich towards Yahweh Shem Yahushua in our lifestyle, in our choices, in our desires, right? Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Okay? Let me finish this off. It says, for the love of money is a source of all kinds of evil, right? Going back to that covetousness that the Lord said to beware of. Beware of covetousness, because covetousness is the desire to have things that's not yours, right? Things that you don't have already. And the love of that money is the root of all evil. It's a gateway to all kinds of wickedness, because there's many things that you can do to get that money, that riches, that substance. And that desire for it can be so strong that you begin to justify yourself in your wickedness. You will do some homosexual acts because it's going to increase your pay or your net worth by 100,000. You will emasculate yourself, put on a dress because it'll increase your net worth by 1.2 million. You'll forsake the truth and start to teach doctrines of devils, things that you are not to be teaching. That's not according to the mind, the oracles of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, because you're going to get that $250,000. So you begin to justify yourself in your wickedness, and at that point, there's nothing that you won't do. Now there's no boundaries. Now you have no conscience. Now you free game. Right? It says some have been so eager to have it that they have wandered away from the faith and have broken their hearts with many sorrows. Right? So you cast yourself into damnation, man. You condemn yourself when you have such a love, such a desire for riches and money and increase in this world that you get beside yourself. So contentment with what you have and your devotion to Yahweh Shem Yahushua, that's the real increase. Psalms 37. Those that fear the Lord are gonna live as though they fear the Lord. There's a there's a way that you're gonna conduct yourself. There's things that you're gonna do, and there's things that you're gonna not do. You're gonna seek that which is well pleasing unto the Lord. You're gonna keep His word. You're not gonna disobey, and this is all to the best of your ability, of course. But just as somebody who don't fear the Lord, they're not gonna consider the Lord in anything that they do. They're gonna talk any kind of way. They're gonna say anything out their mouth with no fear. They're gonna entertain those evil thoughts. But a righteous man, right, a man who fears the Lord is gonna check his thoughts. He's gonna check his words. And consider them before they even come out of his mouth. He's gonna be mindful of his actions, so as not to offend the Lord, man. But majority of people they don't bridle themselves. It is what it is. This is who I am. I read it again, right? The little that a good person owns is, and that good person is a righteous person, right? The little that a good person owns is worth more than the wealth of all the wicked, because the Lord will take away the strength of the wicked, but protect those who are good. So that's where the true value is, right? Is a man that has divine protection from Yahweh Shemal Shai, is that not a valuable man? Much more than a man who may have $2 billion in his bank account. Why does that make you valuable? Why does that make you um, why does that make you special? That don't make you special. That's just 2 billion reasons to be wicked. Two billion opportunities for you to be wicked, man. Money is just, the more money you have, the more opportunities you have. That's it. Money just gives you more opportunity, more access to things, which is why people want it, because it's not really the money itself that people love, right? You have some people that covet it, and they sit there and stare at their damn money. They may even stare at the gold and silver, but it's not necessarily the money itself that people um, that they praise and worship. It's the abilities and the access that money, that increase, gives them. You're able to go more places, and then, I mean, after you reach a certain net worth, it's like it's useless in this world, because there's only so much you can do in this wicked ass world, man. Before you get bored, and you done did all the things that's normal. You done traveled the world. You done seen all the places that you can see, that you can actually have access to. You done ate all the food that you could never desire to eat. You done dealt with all the women that you didn't wanted to deal with. You can buy every car that you ever had you know, that you wanted to drive, so on and so forth. And then what? Now that that dopamine, right? That satisfaction comes from other things, wicked things. Now you have to get that satisfaction elsewhere, because you're not just gonna be like, okay, well, I didn't did everything, I didn't seen everything. No, I'm good. I can just chill, and live the rest of my life in peace. No, people, they want to keep chasing that. They keep on going, and those desires turn into wickedness and weird fetishes and things like that. All right. So that's why I said the little that a good person have, the little that a righteous man have, is better and more valuable than the wealth of all the wicked. Right. That man who has little but he fears the Lord, that man is protected. That man is considered, right. He's favored of the Lord. This is Romans 8. you're after the flesh, and if your desire is upon things on the earth, right? If you wanna, you wanna be famous, so you might have to go back to the car. It's windy. But yeah, if your desire is to those things, that's what you're gonna care about. That's what your energy is gonna be geared towards. You're gonna forget about everything else because your desire is so strong towards those things. The thing is, everybody worships something. Everybody is devoted to something, whether they know it or not. You're either going to be devoted to your family, your woman, your career, yourself, or to your how about you now shot. And there's no in betweens. There's no in betweens, man. Okay, it's like, like I said, man. Some people they don't realize it. They don't acknowledge it. But everybody is going to be devoted to something, man. You got people that live their life every day trying to get a bag, trying to get some money, chasing after some woman. Shit. Some people chase after drugs, but they're devoted to something, and we have to be mindful of our priority and our mission, as not to fall into that, man, as these people have. Okay, so let me finish this off back in Romans 8 and verse 6. It says, "For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace." A spiritual mind is what's going to keep you grounded. A spiritual mind is going to allow you to detach from the world and the cares of the world. When in that second Edges 14:14, let go from the immortal thoughts. Cast away from you the burdens of man, the thoughts that are most heavy unto you. You can only do that with a spiritual mind. You can't do that if you stuck in the carnal, if you stuck in those carnal thoughts. How you gonna be able to cast away the carnal thoughts when that's what you're dwelling on? You have to be in a spiritual mind. Like it just said, though we walk not excuse me, though we are in the flesh, we don't walk after the flesh. Right? We don't walk after the flesh, but after the spirit. All right. That's the only way we're gonna be able to detach from this world. We don't have the same cares and the same desires as these people. And that's not saying we don't like nice things. Yeah, you wanna, it's who don't want to drive a nice car? Who don't want to travel the world and eat good food and so on and so forth? But we're not bound by those things. We're not gonna lose sleep if we never do those things. Because what? We understand that there's a world to come, the kingdom of heaven, that we're gonna be able to do those things in righteousness forever. We're gonna be able to do it much more. Even now, if you're able to do those things, right? You got the money, you got the resources, you can travel the world, so on and so forth. It's tainted, it's filthy, it's limited, it's corrupted. Even if you are able to do those things, man, you can't do it in the fullness. You can't experience the fullness of everything that there is to experience, because everything is tainted. So you're not gonna get the full experience. So why would we want to throw away salvation for some temporary satisfaction? We're gonna get the full experience, man. So we're gonna have to wait a little bit, suffer a little bit, take the load, and be last. So that Lord willing, we able to be first, man. Lord willing. The world has a saying, cry now, laugh later. And I said this before, but even prior to the truth, man, when I was in the world, I used to hate that saying because I never agreed with it. I always used to say, man, I'd rather cry now and laugh later. Right? Because they say laugh now, cry later. I think I said it backwards when I just first said it, right? But the world says laugh now, cry later. But I used to say cry now, laugh later, because I always used to be like, man, I want to get this shit out the way now. If I gotta suffer, if I gotta go through hell, I'd rather get this shit out the way now, man, and just be able to enjoy the good, the prosperity, the benefits, the blessings later, without having to worry about that joy being taken away from me. Why would I want to laugh now? Only with the expectation always in the back of my mind, damn, this gonna come to an end. No, I'd rather have it the opposite, going through pure fucking hell with the thought in my mind, this gonna come to an end. This ain't forever. Because that's what it is. Continuing on. It says, because the verse 7, because the carnal mind is enmity against the Most High, for it is not subject to the law of the Most High, neither indeed can be. The carnal mind is contrary to the Heavenly Father, which makes it hateful. So then, they that are in the flesh cannot please the Most High. But ye are not in the flesh, but in the Spirit. If so be that the Spirit of the Most High dwell in you. Now, if any man have not the Spirit of Hamashiach, he is none of his. In order to be a disciple, a follower, a true worshiper of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, you have to be spiritual. You have to walk in the Spirit. That's the only way. A carnal man is not going to be able to accept the things that come with Yahushua. You just can't. What come with Yahushua? Taking the low, being last, being counted out, taking the L. Jake don't like taking the L. They want their increase now. They want their exaltation now. They don't want to wait. They're impatient. Yahushua showed the ultimate example of patience. He waited. Even when the kingdom, him being crowned, him receiving glory and praise in the earth was offered unto him, he didn't accept it. I'm going to wait on Yahweh to exalt me. He waited. He went through his tribulation. He went through his hell. But the average nigga on earth would have took that crown, would have took that glory, only for it to be taken away shortly after. Because say Yahushua, let me say it like this. Say that opportunity was given to someone else. They wanted to be the citizens wanted to crown Joe. Even knowing everything that he knows, well, it's not time for me to be crowned right now. That my crown is going to be given unto me by the Heavenly Father later. I'm going to receive all of this right when Yahushua was tempted by Satan. You can get all this. Yahushua like, I own all this. It's mine. But the average man would have been like, shit, that do sound nice. Shit, I can own all the hills. Shit, I can have all these bitches. I can go anywhere I want. I can be that nigga. Shit, go ahead and put that crown on me. Because they won't be able to take the low and be patient. You have to be patient. The scriptures tell you, man, to humble yourself, that the Lord may exalt us. We want the Lord to exalt us, because that exaltation, can't nobody take it from you. Can't nobody reject that or bring that to an end. When the Lord exalts us, it's going to be a permanent exaltation, and it's going to be, man, the highest form of exaltation we can get. I'd rather have that, and it's going to be without end. Us being, Lord willing, joint heirs with Yahushua. Okay, let me get a couple more. Yeah, it says it best, man. Again, if you love money, you will never be satisfied. If you long to be rich, you will never get all you want, because there's always more to get. There's always something that you're going to desire. I don't know how many songs I heard or people just saying it. Oh, if I can make 1,000,000, I can make 10. If I can make 10 million, I can make 100. Shit, if I can make 100 million, I can make 1 billion. If I can make 1 billion, I can make 500 billion. You're never going to be satisfied because this world is wicked. There's an endless, there's an endless, you know, I don't even know how to say it, but there's like an endless desire that comes with this world, man. Because when you operate in the flesh, there's no room for satisfaction. There's no room for gratitude and contentment. You're always going to look at something else and see something else and desire something else. It says the richer you are, the more mouths you have to feed. All the gain, all you gain is the knowledge that you are rich. Yeah, just to be able to say you rich, just to be able to, okay, I got this much money in the bank. I'm worth this much now. This is my net worth. I'm on the Forbes list now. Okay, that's it. Workers may or may not have enough to eat, but at least they can get a good night's sleep. Yeah, because being rich and not having to work, it drives away your sleep. You may think, oh, that saying is true, man. More money, more problems. And there's problems that you never thought you would have because you never had to deal with them because you never had that type of money. It's more of a spiritual battle when you get that type of money. Now you're dealing with demons, high level demons that come with that lifestyle. Now you got to worry about people trying to get over on you, people trying to take your money, what you're gonna buy, where you're gonna go, how you gonna protect your money, what to invest in next, how to keep your money because you don't want to go back broke. You don't want to go back to the life that you used to have. So you want to increase it now. It's so much shit. You lose sleep. Why you want to deal with that? It says the rich, however, have so much that they stay awake worrying. Here is a terrible thing that I have seen in this world. People save up their money for a time when they may need it and then lose it all in some bad deal or end up with nothing left to pass on to their children, right? When you think about this guy, Adrian Broner, that's only one example of many. That's just an example that we see. That's a celebrity, right? But you have many people. You have people that have won the lottery, people that had some kind of life insurance policy. They got paid from that or whatever other way. Some people came across a lot of money. Shit, they might even have worked for it and made some dumb decisions in their life that left them broke. And now you ain't got nothing. Living that life every day, that shit add up. When you popping bottles and partying, and you putting money in other people's pocket, and you traveling, and you eating good, eating out every day, that shit add up. And next thing you know, you broke. It says, we leave this world just as we entered it, with nothing. In spite of all our work, there is nothing we can take with us. There's nothing you can take. But people act as if they can because they have so much attachment, they have so much love for the things that they have that they hold on to those things as if they can take it with them. We got some people that deprive themselves because they don't want to not be rich, so they don't really spend no money. They're selfish to themselves because they don't want to lose the money. Then they get old or something tragic happens in their life and they're not able to enjoy the riches. They was never able to enjoy it because they was being selfish to themselves because of their covetousness. That's stupid. It isn't right. We go just as we came. We labor trying to catch the wind, and what do we get? We get to live our lives in darkness and grief, worried, angry, and sick. So it's really it's I don't want to say oxymoron, but it's a contradicting lifestyle. You do so much and you go through so much and you belittle yourself to get so much, and then you don't even you go through hell. You in your mind, I need to get this. I need to get this money. I need to get these riches. I need to get up so I can be happy, so I can be carefree, so I can make these problems that I'm going through right now go away. But then you get that stuff and you end up with more problems. You end up more stressed out. You never went through depression when you was poor, but now you fucking depressed. You popping pills. You taking drugs that you never took before. Your body is unhealthy more than it's ever been. You losing sleep. You're an insomniac. It's a lot that come with that shit. But that's what you wanted. So that's what the Lord gave you over to. It says, here is what I have found out. The best thing we can do is eat and drink and enjoy what we have worked for during the short life that the Most High has given us. Yeah, being grateful, man. Just enjoying your life. Like that saying, which is a true saying, man. The best things in life are free. To have the brotherhood, to first and foremost, to have this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, to know who Yahweh Shem Shai is, to believe on His word and His name, to have the brotherhood, to have close family that you can trust and that you love, that loves you. For those who have children, to have that. Those are valuable things that don't cost anything. But the things that people desire, that shit costs money, man. But it's really of no value. It says if the let me see. Yeah, it says this is our fate. If the Most High gives us wealth and property and lets us enjoy them, we should be grateful and enjoy what we have worked for. It is a gift from the Most High. Since the Most High has allowed us to be happy, we will not worry too much about how short life is. And that's gratitude, man. And that's what keeps you grounded. All right, let me get a couple more and close out. 1 Thessalonians 5:16, and this is in the. So I can. Bear with me 1 second. Yeah, 1 Thessalonians 5:16, and this is in the GNT. I'm gonna read down to verse 18. It says, "Be joyful always, pray at all times, be thankful in all circumstances. This is what the Most High wants from you in your life, in union with Hamashiach Yahushua." Right, that contentment with godliness, which is great gain. Right, and I'll close out with this. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 103, and I'm gonna start at the top. Psalms 103, a psalm of David. Bless the Lord Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless His holy name. Okay. Yeah, it says, bless the Lord Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless His holy name. Bless the Lord Yahweh, O my soul, and forget not all His benefits. Right? Forget not His benefits, man. As it says in the Apocrypha, man, many have received benefits and have not known the Lord because they don't appreciate those benefits. They don't consider them when they're there. They so worried about what they don't got, what they can get. Man, just simple things, small things that you don't think about every day, man. To be able to breathe, to be able to be healthy and able-bodied, to have all your limbs, and to be able to be mobile, to be able to have all your senses. Me and the brother Ban Yakanan, we had this conversation a couple times. Just something as small as having eyelashes, having fingernails, stuff like that you don't really think about it. But if you was to lose those things, man, it would throw you off. Small things. It says, "Bless the Lord Yahweh, O my soul, and forget not all His benefits, who forgiveth all thine iniquities, who healeth all thy diseases, who redeemeth thy life from destruction, who crowneth thee with loving kindness and tender mercies, who satisfieth thy mouth with good things, so that thy youth is renewed like the eagles." All right, the Lord gives us strength, He gives us life, He gives us mercy, grace. Right, He protects us, He provides for us, He directs our path and guides us. He gives us this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. He gives us good health, so on and so forth. That's more than enough, man, for us to be grateful and appreciative of, man. Lord willing, I pray this lesson was edifying, man. With that, I'm going to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Chakodash. Double honors and to the elder apostles and elder bishops of the Great Millstone. Salutations, peace, blessings, and safety to the hopeful elect. GTA your Bible Ball, Kwame Australia. Until next time, Shalom.